This exercise is going to help you open up the underside of your shoulder to give you a little bit better shoulder overhead mobility. So we are going to work on a couple of different things here. So depending on what your goal is, there might be some tweaks that you make. Really what I want you to think about when you do stretching is to explore the different sensations to find what you want. There's not a perfect way to do it. When we move things, we just change where the line of tissue is. And so we have to get a little curious and exploratory when we're doing things like this, but I'll give you some cues on how to do that. And then after we hold the stretch, I'm gonna give you some PAILs and rails so that you can build strength and get a little bit more range of motion and get more out of this exercise as well. So the first thing you're gonna do is grab a band that should be attached overhead to a squat rack or something that doesn't move. And then I either like to get into this seated position, or you can get into your like 90-90 type of position. And then from here, you're gonna get into a position that allows you to feel a nice deep stretch through here. So your band is pulling you into full shoulder abduction. Abduction is the ability to get your arm overhead like this. It's gonna pull your arm up. It's also gonna be moving your shoulder blade into upward rotation. And things you can do to feel more of an intense stretch are going to be to shift your rib cage over into that to allow it to pull you up overhead too. Other things you can do is, instead of letting your elbow be bent, keep your elbow straight and lean into this stretch to pull your arm this way, but actively open this up more. You're going to want to find the intensity of the stretch that makes sense for you. So if this is new, start low. We can build intensity up later. It's easier to do that than to go too intense right out the gate. You're gonna hold this stretch from anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds up to that 2-minute mark that we're working towards. So start at the lower end, add time until you can get to 2 minutes, unless you can do 2 minutes right out the gate. But again, if you haven't stretched your lats or done a stretch like this before, let's start lower. Then from here, we're going to do your PAILs and rails. PAILs is going to be thinking about pulling the arm this way. So we're gonna be doing this type of a motion. So you're thinking about pulling your shoulder blade down and pulling your shoulder this way. So we're kind of pulling the band down. Then we shouldn't be able to really have much movement. You should just feel that you can pull on the tension of the band. You can feel all of the stuff that is being stretched start to contract. Then once that is done, we're gonna do rails, which is this type of movement where we're trying to actively reach our shoulder blade up and reach our arm across to increase the sensation of a stretch. That should feel like all of these muscles and a little bit of your shoulder blade muscles as well. So let's get into the stretch. Find your position. Once you've been holding it for a prolonged time, we're now going to think about pulling down. You might feel a little less stretch because you're contracting. That's okay. Ramp that intensity up slowly. So you're starting at light, then pull more and more, like you're trying to ramp slowly, like turning a volume dial up to the desired intensity over 10 to 15 seconds. Hold for that 10 to 15 seconds, then slowly relax. And then we're gonna start the rails contraction. Reach into a deeper stretch. So pull yourself this way and reach the arm up and over, feeling a nice deep stretch here, and actively reach. You're gonna ramp the intensity of that reach of those muscles that you're contracting up slowly over 10 to 15 seconds, then hold at that desired intensity for 10 to 15 seconds. And that is going to be your stretch with 1 round of PAILs rails. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. We should not feel any pinching in the neck or the top of the shoulder here. If you do, it is too intense of an exercise for you. See if you can back off the intensity. But if you can't, then we don't want to push into that. Also, while you are here and you're working on your stretch, we can also add a little bit of breath work to start to open up some of the side of this a little bit more through moving your rib cage. So to do that, as you're sitting here in your stretch, you're gonna inhale in through your nose into your side, feel this open. Then exhale and sink deeper into the stretch. So as you exhale, you might kind of compress the opposite side. Inhale, open this side, And that is how you can sneak in a little bit of breath work and a little bit of additional mobility work with your overhead stretch. But over time, you should feel that you can tolerate a deeper stretch, you can contract a little bit harder, and ultimately that this carries over into your overhead activities and that your shoulder overhead mobility starts to progress quite a bit.